I want to take control of my destiny. It's time for me to not put my career in the hands of somebody else. And as you know, like starting your own business is terrifying and there's so much work to do. It's definitely not easy at all. But at the end of the day, I know I'm doing it for me. And so I finally got to that moment where I was like, it's time to change the focus.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of It Takes Grit. Today in the house, I've got Simone De La Rue. Wow,
Hi.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
I love it. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I just want to give you massive credit because you came in here, ran in, we're running out of light, and it's like we just had to throw her into doing a crazy workout and then getting through this podcast. So thank you for just going with the flow.
Of course.
You missed the behind the scenes of a naked Simone.
That's another kind of movie.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show. And I just wanted you to introduce yourself and tell the audience what it is that you do and who you are.
Yeah. So my name's Simone De La Rue. I'm creator of Body by Simone. I've had it now for nearly 10 years. I opened my first studio in New York. I have 2 in Los Angeles and 1 now in London. It's dance-based fitness. I work with a lot of celebrities. We don't use much equipment, so it's using your own body weight or using your body as your tool. It's just a fun, joyous way of working out. I love what I do. I think it's therapy. And it's like my 2 favorite things mixed together, like psychology and fitness or working out, taking care of yourself, jammed in together.
I love that. And just had a baby and looking insane. We're going to talk about her transformation, your body transformation, how you staying fit, because I know that a lot of the audience are, either have babies or thinking about it and getting worried that, like, if I have a child, is it going to ruin my body? Mm-hmm. Did you feel, we'll just touch on that for a second, did you feel like going through that was going to be an interesting experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 45 now. I didn't fall pregnant till I was 43, which is considered geriatric pregnancy, which is crazy because I was like, I'm 43 at the time, not 143. But I was a little bit nervous because, our body is our tool for what we do. And it's what and even when I was a dancer on stage for so many years, so it's like what I've always known, this is my job, this is my work. So I was absolutely, a little concerned about how that would affect my work. But at the same time, I was so excited and wanting so much to be a mother that I was just so happy that I tried not to really worry about that.
Yeah, and so how long had you been wanting a child for? Was it something that you'd wanted forever, that you've been trying, or like it just like happened?
Yeah, I've always been very ambitious, always very career driven. So all of my girlfriends back home in Australia and back in the UK have, teenage children. So it's crazy that I now have, a 7-month-old child at 45 years of age. But when I met my husband, Mark, there was something that clicked and I just, knew that I wanted to have a child. And I guess maybe it's also the idea of knowing that you're running out of time, that all of a sudden you think, oh my goodness, am I going to miss out on this experience? I don't want to miss out on that. But now that I have him in my life,
we can see him.
I just can't even imagine life before him. And that was my purpose before that. So it's been such an evolving, time for me, really.
Yeah, and do you mind me asking, like, obviously at 45, it's like that's kind of hard sometimes for some women to get pregnant. Absolutely. Was that something difficult for you?
Yeah, we tried for 2 years. I did all the right things. And then, the doctor said we can do IVF or you can just try naturally or you can, let it go. And it's like, I didn't want to have the time or the funds or the energy to do IVF. So I just kind of put it out to the universe and let it go. And I thought, if it's, meant to be, then it'll happen. And that's that crazy saying, when you stop trying, or you let it go, then it comes to you. And so we did. Little Oscar came to us, when we stopped trying.
Wow, that is incredible. And so what was it like after during your pregnancy? Were you still working out? Because that's another thing. People are like, I don't know if I should work out. I'm harming the baby. But if you're in shape during it, it's kind of easier to bounce back afterwards.
Yeah. So
what did you do throughout it?
I did a lot of research to see what else was out there. And there's not really a lot of content. So then I went back and did more study to become a pre and postnatal specialist because I thought that's so important to have that knowledge. And then I actually ended up releasing my own prenatal workouts because, you know, the books that you're supposed to read, like What to Expect When You're Expecting, they were saying, you know, do a wall sit or go for a walk. And I was like, that's great for people who don't work out. But for people like us that work out every day, it's like I needed to do more than that. So I obviously spoke to my OB and I said, you know, what can I do? And he's like, you know, don't take up training for a marathon if you've never run before. But obviously you can keep continuing to do what you do, but you're an intelligent woman, listen to your body. So it's been a really fascinating experience for me because I've been able to learn, you know, what are the correct exercises that you can do and what you can't do. And there are obviously some things that you really can't do during pregnancy, but there's so much that you can do and it benefits your health and also the health of your child.
Do you feel like sometimes people make excuses not to work out? Yeah, your face just changed then. Like people make excuses. They're like, I'm pregnant, I can't work out.
Yeah, or they're like, oh, you should, you know, I remember a couple of people said to me, oh, great, you should lay on the couch and eat ice cream. I was like, no, that's not the time to be doing it. You know?
You're trying to create a human. Like you're feeding a human, like that you're trying to create ice cream. Like you should be doing a healthy, active lifestyle.
Yeah, and eating well. And, you know, it was good because it was my time, that little bit of exercise. It's good therapy. And, you know, there are so many studies. It's like helps with early onset gestational diabetes. It helps the heart health and lung capacity of the newborn child. There's so much, you know, research that says that we should be exercising now. So back from our mother's generation when they're saying you shouldn't. Yeah.
Wow. So at what point did you stop exercising before you had the baby? Or were you like day before?
Literally the day before. And I was 7 days overdue. And so then I had to go in for an induction and I walked to the hospital. My doctor was like, only you would walk to the hospital. But I was like, it was just part of me, you know, you can't stop exercising just because you're pregnant.
And then after, what was the recovery like?
The recovery was rough. I had a C-section. So that was the one thing that I was really concerned about. Because once again, you know,
that was because you were induced
in midriffs,
right?
You know, all the time, and you used to like that. My six-pack was my thing you know, for so many years, and to be cut through, you know, so many layers and through muscle. Still now, it's still a little bit numb, and I've had to do so much retraining to get my core strength back again. But yeah, I had the C-section because too much information, but you know, I only dilated only 4 centimeters, and he was going into distress, and they're like, we have to get him out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, do whatever you have to do, but you know, please get him out safely.
Yeah.
But I didn't plan for that. You know, I was like, I'm the warrior. I'm gonna like naturally give birth, and you know, I'm so strong. But those things you just have to surrender to and go with.
I think that's a big thing with talking about abs is that sometimes they can come apart, right? And does it happen all the time? Because it's what's the shit? I don't know that. So that's why I'm literally going to be like have a one-on-one session and be like, what happens when I have a child? So how does that work? Because people are so worried about losing their abs.
Yeah. So I've always had a six-pack, you know, and so I actually watch my abdominal wall separate, and so by the end, my abs were on the outside here because you separate so much. So one of my biggest
were you worried? Were you getting scared? Were you like?
It's a very bizarre feeling, you know, to see your belly stretch that much.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is the recovery time. So the one thing I could say to anyone out there listening to us is that, you know, make sure that you get cleared by your doctor before you come back. And if you've had a natural birth, it's 6 weeks. And if it's a C-section, it's 6 to 8 weeks. But then you don't go back to doing burpees or you don't go back to doing crunches because what's happened is you've had such separation. You have to allow for this to heal back and come back properly. So when you come back too early, that's when you get diastasis recti, which is the separation where you can put like past 2 fingers, a gap in between here.
Right.
And so there's all these different exercises that you can do to check first to see if that, you know, abdominal wall has healed. If it hasn't healed and you're going back and doing strenuous ab work, that can never heal again. And I've had some clients where I've actually put a fist in because they've not to me, but they've, you know, previous come back to exercise too soon.
And that's not rectifiable?
No, that's only rectifiable by surgery.
Wow, okay.
Nobody wants that. So it's really important that, you know, I say that's the time when you should get a trainer or you make sure that you are with someone that knows what they're doing because you can cause a lot of damage.
Wow, so that's fascinating. Because I was really fascinated by, because so many people are worried about like their stomach and losing that. So how do you feel in your body now?
I feel like I've almost, 7 months postpartum, I've almost got my strength back again. It's weird because when I stand on the scales, I weigh less than I did before I was pregnant. But I call it this, it's like I've lost a lot of my muscle tone. It's not that skinny fat kind of thing, but it's just I don't have a lot of the muscle tone that I did.
Yeah.
I used to have such a perky bottom. I was always proud of my ballet bottom. But it's a little flat. I have to build that back up again. But then just my stamina and strength, it takes a long time. It really does. It's like you go back to being a beginner again. And so this whole experience for me, I think, has made me a better trainer, especially for women, because now I understand what the female body goes through. And it is such an intense experience. And I've only had one. So I can't imagine when, you go from one and then you're again and again and again. So the female body is just remarkable.
I was going to say, it definitely gives you I'm just going to move your mic like that way. It's definitely, you get more of an understanding from like people's like experience when you've gone through something like that yourself. Yeah. I want to take it back all the way to originally from England, born in England,
yes.
then at 2 moved to Australia.
Yes.
12 years ago moved to LA. Yes. And tell me about like growing up in Australia and all the dance that you did. Because in the video, we did a great YouTube video together. You were talking about your mum taking you to all these different dance competitions. Was it just her that got you involved with the dance and then that kind of blossomed and you had a skill for it?
So I remember she was never a ballet mother. So I remember at the age of 3, I saw some ballet shoes. And I don't know what it was about the ballet shoes. So they were the beautiful pink satin, like ballet point shoes. And I said to her I wanted to do that. And so she facilitated and took me to dance classes. But I knew from a very young age, like the age of 8, I knew I wanted to be a dancer. And then so that's all I did. I, eat, breathe, and slept. I remember when I first got my first pair of point shoes, I slept with them on my pillow next to me.
Love that.
I was just like so devoted to dance. And then, my first musical was when I was 18.
Wow.
I got into Cats.
Oh,
which is so hilarious now.
Love Cats.
It's coming back.
Oh, it is coming back.
They're doing a movie. They're releasing the movie next month.
So where was that at?
It was in Australia.
It was in Australia?
I started in Australia, and then they took me to Asia, and then I ended up doing it in Germany. And then, so that was like my first, real big, huge musical. And I was so lucky to have that because it was such a featured dancer role.
Yeah.
I was the white cat. Which,
yeah. That's like that. I've seen Cats. Yeah. Amazing. So was there someone in your family that was naturally talented at dancing? Were you naturally talented? Did you work really hard? Was it a mixture of both? I think it was probably a mixture of both because I didn't necessarily have the desired the classical ballet physique. Which is supposed to have long legs, a short body, and mine actually I have a short legs and a long body, so it's the opposite. But I just really had the passion, and I think I didn't know I loved being on stage, and I loved the creativity side of it and the performance element of it. And I think all of those years of training have really helped me now to, feel so comfortable in front of a camera and feel comfortable being able to literally breastfeed and be thrown on, and you're like, you're going to do this. I'm like, okay, let's go. Yeah. So did you go through any like body image things as you were going through dancing? Obviously, like I've been in the world, it's competitive. There's a lot of comparison. Like, how did you stay in alignment with, your passion and staying true to who you were without comparing yourself to other people? I had like an aha moment because I wanted to be a classical ballerina. And up until the age when I was like 15, then I auditioned for the Australian Ballet School. And that was, a very big deal at that point. And I remember I went in and I didn't even get to perform. I didn't even get to dance. They said stand front, stand side, stand like. It makes me shiver. Like makes me cringe.
And they were like, no, thank you, next. And I was absolutely shattered because it was one of those things where it's like I didn't even get to express myself, and so that was based on body type and body image. And
that really knocked your confidence?
It really did.
At 15 too. They shouldn't be able to do that.
I know.
Do they still do that?
They do that anymore.
Okay.
Because I think there's so many eating disorders and so many healthy, toxic, body image that came out of, my friends in that era. And so many of them didn't end up continuing to dance, so that's really heartbreaking.
And you just wanted the opportunity to dance. You just wanted to dance.
Be seen
you just wanted to be seen.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of the moment when I was like, well, I have to find something else. And that's when I moved into musical theatre because you didn't have to have that, very, very, I don't want to say body type, but it's like super thin body type.
Yes.
You could be more muscular and you could be different shape and size and height. And so it was kind of like a beautiful accident that I fell into musical theatre, and then that took me on a path for, an 18-year career.
Wow. And then, so what age were you like, this is just not what I want to do anymore? And how did you wake up to that experience?
I was 36. And as I was in
That's a great career you've had in musical theatre. Like, that's amazing. First of all, like, congratulations, because it's not easy.
Thank you.
There's a lot of hard competition.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And as I said, I did Australia, then I went to Germany, and then I went to London, West End, and then finally Broadway. So I always had like this list of and once I ticked the Broadway box, and then I was like, Broadway's really it's just like Australia, except everyone's got American accents. You know what I mean? It's like, or, it's just more well known. So it was that moment of like, oh, this was my dream, and now I've achieved that. What next? So then it became less about the ego and less about me performing, and more about me using my skills to help other people. So that's when the transition happened.
Yeah.
And I actually found that I had more fulfillment out of helping other people reach their dreams and their goals and their physical goals than it was for me to be on stage anymore.
What roles did you have while you were doing the musical theatre? Obviously Cats.
Yeah,
what else did you do?
Cats, Fame, Grease, Happy Days, The Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, Candide, Ducktastic, which is a play I did with Kenneth Branagh, which was bizarre. I'm just some crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
The opera film, like some really great. I actually did dance at the Academy Awards, like the Oscars, and it was so weird to then be like, oh, and now I'm working with Oscar winners, So
yes, that's that transition.
On this weird journey.
And we spoke about a little bit in the YouTube about where you were just getting everybody was talking about when the next casting was.
Yes.
And you were like, oh, hang on a second, I don't want to go for another casting.
Yeah.
What was that wake up moment?
Because, as you said, it's like you can be very talented, but if they're looking for a 6-foot brunette and you're a 5'3" blonde, it's just not going to work, So.
That's why we got some hey buddy.
That's Oscar, everybody.
He just wanted to say hi. And welcome. He's like, hey,
he wants to be
in front of the camera.
I've created a monster.
Love it.
But then I was at an opportunity where I was like, I want to take control of my destiny. It's time for me to not put my career in the hands of somebody else. And as you know, like starting your own business, it's terrifying, and there's so much work to do. It's definitely not easy at all. But at the end of the day, I know I'm doing it for me. And so I finally got to that moment where I was like, it's time to change the focus.
And what was the first step? Because a lot of people out there might be like, oh my goodness, like I've done something for 18 years. How on earth do I then pivot and do something completely different? What was your first step? Did you ease yourself out of the musical theatre stuff and then set something up on the side, or were you like, no, I'm all in?
I did both. So I was actually training like 5 clients. So I'd get up at 5 a.m. and train in the morning, go home and have an afternoon snooze, and then I would do the show at night. So I was just working.
So when did you get your personal training license?
When I was actually doing the show still. So it was like, I'm like preparing for what's going to come. And I think that's another great piece of advice, because I think so many of us are like, oh, I've finished this and now what do I do? And it's like, no, I want to prepare, so that my transition, when the show ended the next day, I was already, I'd started Body by Simone at that point. So I didn't have that fear of the unknown.
And you've trained, countless like A-list celebrities, like amazing. How did you transition into that? How long did it take you?
It was by luck. An actress, a British actress actually, was working on a film. She needed to look like a dancer. They came in and the choreographer and the director were like, we want you to train her because you look like a dancer. And I was like, well, I am.
That helps, yeah.
So I managed to work with her for 3 months, transform her body. And then she was working on a film with another really big actor. And they were like, everyone's like, what have you done? You've transformed so quickly. And so that was my introduction into, the A-list world. And it was basically just from being, doing a great job and helping somebody and just not selling them out and just being a good person. And, I think that's always such a great way, to have word of mouth and recommendation of just doing
to build relationships.
Yeah.
So are all your clients now A-list celebrities? Do you have a mixture or?
Yeah, now I have 40 staff that work for me, and my trainers train under me. I'm old, so I don't work out as much anymore. So I mainly just train my favorites that, I've been with for a long time now. But it's, people will come to me and say, so-and-so needs to look like this for a film, and then I'll work with them for, like 3 months. So I'm always open to that. But, my book is kind of relatively closed otherwise.
Yeah. What's the biggest transformation you had to do with someone in 90 days?
Well, I did a TV show called Revenge Body.
Yes.
That was on the E! Network with Khloe Kardashian. And we had 90 days, and I'm trying to think what my first contestant, I think she lost 60 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, in 90 days. And that was the biggest transformation ever. That was huge.
And what are you doing with it? Obviously in that TV show, are you with them like every day? Like how's the structure of that with a client?
So each trainer does something different, but I said, well, you are going to be with me 6 days a week and have 1 day of rest. And so they were in either taking class or doing a private session with me every day for 90 days. So if they weren't with me, they were with one of my team. But,
one a day?
Yeah. And towards the end, like the final 6 weeks, they were doing 2 a day. So either morning and afternoon.
And these people going to work during this time? Are they taking 90 days off? Like,
yeah, I mean,
is their whole focus this?
They get paid to be on the show.
Yep.
So yeah, their focus is to do this. But the beauty about the show is that it's not like some of the other shows where they're in a camp. They have to have their life. They have to either go to work or they have to go home. So that's like very challenging because, it's easy if you have someone on your back constantly telling you what to do.
Absolutely. So you were making sure that, with the food and everything, are you teaching them what to eat and they're eating that at home and just fingers crossed that they're following the plan?
Yeah. And that's a huge part of it. It really is 80% diet, 20% exercise.
Yep.
So I teamed up with Kelly Levesque. She's a celebrity nutritionist, and she would do all their meal plans for them. But they were so lucky they had meals delivered, to them, but they still cheated. So that was
Did they really?
Yeah, all of them still cheated. And so that's the fascinating thing that I've learned over the years of doing this, is you can bring all the tools and all the knowledge to people, and unless they're willing to do it themselves, they're not going to do it.
What were the things they were cheating with? Like what foods or which alcohol?
Alcohol.
Alcohol was the cheat.
Alcohol was the cheat. And also carbs. Like everybody loves pizza and pasta. And so I think that's the hardest thing for people to give up is carbs. For me, it's hard to give up sugar. Like I love sugar.
Yeah.
But that's in alcohol. Sugar's in everything.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things that people found, hardest with
How many seasons have you done of Revenge?
We've done 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
Yeah.
How'd you experience on being on TV to training somebody like that's on a TV and then also like a celebrity? Like what's your style? What do you prefer?
I'm not a tough love person. I'm more about nurturing and trying to really help the person because a lot of people don't respond to tough love. It makes great television being yelled at, and of course you always need drama, but I think women in particular don't respond well to that. So I've always tried to be an inspiration and a big sister and be loving and nurturing and help them get to their goal that way.
And so you've got a couple of studios.
Yes.
Tell me how they work. Where do people go? Like, how do we find them?
So in LA, we've got one in West Hollywood, one in Brentwood. In New York, there's one in West Chelsea. And the new one in London is in Primrose Hill. And I've trained all of my trainers. So they all do the Body by Simone method there. Anybody can go. So there's classes, there's private training. We do 8 weeks transformations. Or I have the app if you can't get to any of the physical studios.
Okay, what's your app called?
It's called Body by Simone.
Everything is Body by Simone. Literally, this
easy.
body by Simone.
Yeah.
She's going to help you create it.
Yep.
So when did you build your first studio?
9 years ago, and that was in New York. So I actually originated in New York, and then I brought it over here.
Was that like a big deal to open a studio, like an actual physical location?
I still remember the day, like my hand was shaking when I had to sign the lease. And it was like, how am I going to pay this rent? It's like astronomical, especially in New York City. And so that for me was like, I just have to do so much hard work. I was the manager, I was the bookkeeper, I cleaned the toilets, I slept there and would wake up and pretend to be all fresh, at 6 a.m. for the client. Of like, I'm just like, here I am.
Yeah, I'm here early.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here on time. It was so much hard work. It really, really was. Now I look back at it and I had such balls.
It's almost like you look back, you go, I can't believe I did that. I don't know if I could do it now.
No, definitely not. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. But you do, you just get on with it.
Yeah. So you're a businesswoman, you're a mom now, you're a wife, and you're in amazing shape. What's the reality of how do you keep this all together?
I mean, if you saw me yesterday, I was probably hormonal and crying, going, I can't do this. But you just have to make it work. You know, I think you become better at multitasking. You have to compartmentalize that that's work and that's family and home. And, you know, women, we just, you know, manage to do it all. It's like trying to find time for yourself. That's, I think, is really important. And one thing I've learned this year is to ask for help. I've always been very proud and never have asked for help. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, Mummy, you know, come out from Australia and help me. And I've had to ask my staff to just step up and also learn to trust and know that people have got this. You know?
Like delegating, do you find that hard?
Of course. Yeah, I can't delegate. I'm like, I have to do it all myself. You become a control freak.
Because you want to check everything.
Yeah, but it's got, you know, when your name is on everything, you have to. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sure you know what this is like. So it's tough, but at the end of the day, yeah, you do have to let go of the reins a little bit and trust other people, and the world goes on. And
yeah, it's going to be okay. Yeah. It's going to be okay. I do that too, because I've really had to learn over the last couple of weeks, just literally recently, to let things go and be like, hey, you can approve that. I can't approve everything, because it's just like, you need a team, and we all have a team around it. People look at us, they're like, oh, you've got all the things together. It's like, well, we have people that help us. Like, we're not just like by ourselves. And talking about your husband, I got to go into this story because this is just amazing. How did you meet?
So we met at LAX airport.
LAX airport, just at an airport. Yeah. Okay, explain this whole story.
It was the airport lounge. Both of our planes were delayed. Mine was only delayed like 2 hours, but I think his was delayed 4 days, something crazy. I guess he was flying Virgin, and every time something was wrong with the plane, and then they were trying to put them onto the next plane. And anyway, I was sitting at the bar having a glass of red on my computer doing some work, and I heard this very thick Northern British accent. And
are you in the LAX lounge?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
And I kind of turned around and I thought, oh, hello, you're a bit cute. And he was cheeky, you know. You got to love the Brits. They're very cheeky. So we stuck up a conversation and talked for about an hour, exchanged, emails. And I walked around and thought, oh, that's really lovely, but I'll probably never see this person again. But we continued to keep in contact, and he was here and I was there, and we didn't meet up. And then finally he was in LA.
So there was a time where you actually...
It was about 6 months where we were contacting, but we didn't actually meet. And so, you know, I'd kind of let it go.
Yeah, you're like, this is a guy I met in the lounge in the airport. Yeah. Like I had a glass of wine. I was feeling pretty buzzed. And I was just like,
a nice memory.
Quick holiday romance. Yeah.
And then he was here and we met for coffee, and then and that was it.
Is it like instant when you saw him again?
Yeah. There was kind of just this connection. And I think, you know, when you live in America, it's a different sense of humor. Australians and Brits have a very similar sense of humor.
Yeah.
He just kind of, I don't know, he was cheeky and he just got me.
He just clicked. Yeah, there is definitely a different sense of humor in America than there are. I think the Brits and the Australians are definitely closer.
Yes, for sure.
So now you've got a 7.5-month-old, you've got a husband, you've got your businesses going. What's next for you? What is 2020 going to hold up?
I think 2020 needs to be a little bit more just setting very specific goals and making them maybe a little bit more about, once again, delegating and allowing other people to flourish, you know, within my company. I think my online world is you know, a very big focus, because you can do fabulous things like this and, you know, reach a lot more people than just a one-on-one session where it's just one person, or teaching classes. I mean, I love helping people and inspiring women and younger women, and trying to help people being, you know, an entrepreneur. So any events and fitness events I love to do, any speaking events. So I think it's about being more strategic about what I do, making the most of my time.
Yeah.
And learning to say no. It's okay to say no.
Yeah.
I'm very much like, just say yes to life and then work out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But sometimes there needs to be a no.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Cool. Well, I'm so appreciative that you came all this way.
Yes.
You think that we're really close in Southern California if you live in LA, but even if you want to go 2 miles, it takes you like 45 minutes to go anywhere. So thank you so much for coming in. Tell everybody where they can find you all over your socials. Look at it right here.
Body by Simone on Instagram. I have an app, Body by Simone. Social media, Facebook is Simone De La Rue. The website is Body by Simone. I think that's it.
Yeah, we're going to put all those links below. Thank you so much for listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that 5 stars. Yep, buddy, we're coming for you right there, Oscar.
The babies are here. Mommy's going to breastfeed.
Thanks, guys, for listening. I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Visualize what it is that 2020 as a whole looks like. And I want you, that's it, visualize it. You can see it right now, is to